Recording is about to start. And there we go. Yes, everyone knows. All right, welcome to Threads of Wisdom. We are on week 48.
Yep.
We are Children of the Crossroads. I am Lola Stardust, the High Priestess of Children of the Crossroads in Spokane, Washington.
And I am Silent as Stardust, High Priest of Children of the Crossroads here in Spokane, Washington.
And we do this every Wednesday evening at 6:30 at the link. And let me explain a little bit about what Threads of Wisdom is. The Threads of Wisdom was created by the Golden Thread Grove in Idaho. It is a teaching tool for your year and a day pagan basics. Each week that you attend, you will receive an image of the topic that we discussed. Golden Thread Grove has requested that these images not be distributed to anyone that has not participated in a discussion on a particular topic. And at the end of the year, if you've attended every single one, you will have 52 cards that can be used as a divination tool.
Wow.
Like we like to call it our Wiccadex.
It's like the Pokédex, but it's Wiccadex. And what do you say?
Gotta cast them all.
Gotta cast them all. So ridiculous. So
that's nice. Thank you.
We're gonna go ahead and share an image on the screen. I'll make sure I can do this.
Yeah.
Do you believe? Not my son.
Files.
Oh. There. All right. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
So the topic is ancestors. So go ahead and take a look at this image. And I think we'll go ahead and do raising hands because we have a lot more people. So if you do not know where to raise your hand, it should be at the top of your screen. It looks like I'm not on I'm not in the computer one, so I don't know what it looks like.
It looks like
It
this.
looks like a hand.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks like a hand. So thank you, Celine. It should be on the top. That's how you raise your hand, and I will call on you. If I don't see a hand raised, please know that it's because I am on my phone and I can't see everyone. I have to scroll through. So what we'll do is take a look at this image, and when you're ready, and you don't have to talk. You can just sit back and observe. It's not required. But I'd like to know what you guys see in this image, what it represents, what energy you're getting from it, all the things. And when you're ready, go ahead and... So I believe Celine was first.
Yeah, we do a very Day of the Dead ancestral dinner at my house, and we really base it heavily on the actual Dia de los Muertos, and so to me that's an ofrenda, and the flowers on it are the marigolds that are used in that. I cannot pronounce it in Spanish, so they're the marigolds, and then the lights are to bring the spirits to guide your ancestors to you, to have your dinner and whatnot with you. So this is like oh, this is like what we do every year. Like it's very, very familiar to me, and comforting.
Me too. And why do you think they use this particular quote unquote pantheon or image about ancestors?
Hi, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
Welcome back.
Celine.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you wanted me to keep going. I think it's extremely universal, and it's even something that people who just like shop at Target recognize, and it's like it's almost sad because it's so commercialized at this point.
Yeah.
Like there's like Disney tried to like copyright the term Day of the Dead, like when Coco came out and stuff like that. Like there's just a whole lot of like controversy about it in a way because it's so incredibly everywhere. And but at the same time, it's nice because you have to have ways to be introduced to the actual cultural beliefs and the cultural practices. So you have to walk through Walmart and see a ridiculous Day of the Dead costume and be like, well, that's interesting. I wonder what that is, you know? And so it's kind of nice because everybody, even people who have no idea what Day of the Dead is, can look at that and say, oh, it's a sugar skull. Yeah, I know what that is. So like, it's very universally recognizable by pretty much anybody who's been to any store. Like as far as this country goes, I don't know about like other countries. Like if Germany has like people who have Day of the Dead cakes during November, I don't think so, but maybe. So like at least in this country, it's very, very, in the Americas, it's very universally acknowledged, and we know what that is.
Yeah. Well, and it's a huge time to honor the dead, to honor the ancestors. So yeah, they celebrate with their ancestors. So it doesn't surprise me at all. This is representative of it. Maya, what do you get from this?
A lot of the same vibes, but mainly remembering those who've come before, remembering the family, paying offerings to remember them.
Yep. Do you know how to lower your hand? Because I can't from here.
How to what?
Lower the hand when you're done talking. Do you know how to do that?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, thank you.
I got a very much so Day of the Dead vibe as well. It very much so looks like an ofrenda to me. With marigolds and the candles and the skull face in the front there.
Yeah.
As I very much so enjoy the celebrations of the Day of the Dead. Heck off. Heck.
Yep. It is. It is. I'm half Mexican, so I grew up around a lot of this kind of lure and belief and whatnot. So, B, you have your hand up?
Can you guys hear me? Is my mic working?
Yeah.
Awesome. I do have a little feedback, sorry. So if we've all kind of heard the ofrenda and the Day of the Dead reference here, but if I want to make it a little more generalized for myself, I see an altar, and the focus of the altar right in the middle is the skull. And so for this altar setup, we're focusing on the skull, which symbolizes death. And so sorry, I'm not the best public speaker. I'm trying to gather my thoughts, but it's a day of remembering the dead, obviously. So I see, like, I imagine a ritual where that's the focus when I'm looking at the card.
Absolutely. And do you know how to lower your hand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Because I just want to make sure that I don't, think, oh, they still have a question? Marcus, go ahead.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything that's been said on it. It's definitely a representation of the ancestors. One thing that I'm drawn to, though, is in between the top candles and out of, I think it's marigolds that are framed in an oval. I'm getting a portal feeling, possibly a mirror.
Yeah, that.
So it's a communication point or portal.
Yep, I see that too. It's some sort of mirror, it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, because the background is different than the rest of the cards. So I'm thinking it's a reflective background.
Yeah, mirror or portal. So we are always in touch with our ancestors. We have easy access to honoring them. Anyone else want to go before we continue on with other things? Yes.
I noticed the simplicity of it, which is nice. It's not all pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
It's being simple and honoring the ancestors. It's about the intent, not the decoration.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I think Celine, you were next.
Oh,
No.
I had just one last thing I was going to bring up. I was going to ask like a crowdsource real quick. Do we think those are oranges, or what is the fruit or the offering there, or is it an offering?
Oh, on the
I'm
bottom of
having
the
a hard
can.
time. Yeah, do we think it's oranges? Does it, or like
It kind of does look like oranges, which wouldn't surprise me either. That
Mhm.
seems very
This with the tamarind. It almost looks like tamarins.
some
oh,
sort
it
of.
could be tamarinds. Yeah.
It's I take it as
They're,
some sort
they're
of.
not tamarind at all.
Okay.
Tamarinds look like sugar snap peas, but brown.
Oh,
Okay.
what do they look like? Tangerines. Is that what you're thinking, telling us? Yeah, tangerines. That's very true. I was like, no, those are not tamarins.
Tangerines. Yeah,
Tangerines I can see.
I see
Okay.
tangerines. Yeah. Some sort of offering, a fruit or whatnot. Yeah, for our ancestors. Because we want to make our ancestors
Typically oranges and sugarcane.
The what?
Typically it'd be oranges and sugarcane.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
oranges were considered like gold, like very highfalutin fruit. So making that kind of offering to your ancestors, especially in more, poorer households, which Day of the Dead had a lot of all classes, but it's mostly the poorer class would do this, and so they would really have to go out of their way to get an orange and offer that. But I could totally see that. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this screen. Oh, there's actually a thing down here that I can do it. Stop presenting. All right. Can you see us now? Are we there? No.
Nope.
We disappeared. There we are.
And we're back.
And
There
we're
you are.
Yes. All right. So let's talk about our ancestors. Let's talk about why is it so important to us pagans to honor our ancestors. I mean, anyone who's pagan or witch or any of the occult-like beliefs, there's a lot of ancestors are important. Why do you think that is? I don't know who. Maya raised her hand.
As someone, this is Dar, as someone who does a lot of genealogy. And I mean, like, I have gone back to my 15th great grandparents. Our ancestors are important because without them, we would not be here. Their genes are our genes. We are who we are because of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether that be cultural or religious or beliefs of any sort, they are us. We are them. That is why they are so important.
On top of that, you also can consider the fact that if you think about the powers as a well, our souls returning to that, our ancestors' souls returning to that, adds to our wealth of power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm not sure who had their hand up first. Do you know Stephen or someone?
Stephen did.
Stephen, please. Why are they so important?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
I'm
Stephen.
brand new to the Threads of Wisdom.
We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. But I think it's important because my partner just passed away 3.5 years ago, and she means a lot, and I never experienced any ancestors before her. So
Yeah.
I think it's very valuable in that sense. And I really honor the Day of the Dead because I knew that many years ago. I knew of that. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Celine, why is it so important to us?
kind of like what the well was mentioned, like the well of knowledge and like the well of experience. I don't really have grandmothers. My grandmothers had both passed away. Well, one had passed away and one was a crazy Catholic zealot with dementia. So like there wasn't a lot of the whole, being with my wife, Hannah's relationship with her grandmother has kind of invigorated my interest in the not interest in the ancestors. I always had interest in the ancestors, but it's invigorated a bit more of my relationship and my desire to have that relationship and foster it with my ancestors. Because there's this, it truly is this aspect of like, they've lived this, they've done this, they've experienced these things. We always sometimes think of like elderly people as like these fragile, sheltered things, but it's like, just because they don't know how necessarily to do all the things on a computer that you can do doesn't mean that they haven't done some crazy stuff in their lives and lived through crazy things. Like Hannah's grandmother lived through, she was a little one, but she lived through the Great Depression. She still remembers how the milk tasted from their cow that only had onions to eat, and so the milk always tasted like onion.
Oh, good Lord.
And like it was terrible milk, terrible cheese, everything was onion flavor because that was the only thing that grew, and they lived in like Kansas area, so like the amount of wisdom and knowledge that you get from your ancestors is really, really stunning. But kind of based off a little bit of what you said, Stephen, about how when your partner had passed, that kind of gave you that aspect of ancestor in your life. Another thing I learned a long time ago, or another thing that came up a long time ago, back when the IEPG was a thing, ancestors are the people that like brought you here, but they can also be whoever and whatever formed you. So if you have friends who have passed, or pets, I mean, all of these living beautiful things that have helped form you to who you are now are part of your ancestry. And so like when we do our ancestry table, like there's so many different things we commemorate, like David Bowie and Anthony Bourdain and Frida Kahlo are all on the table. We have a whole, and Bob Ross, they're all there because they're all parts of forming who we were. They're part of our formative years, So like for me, ancestry is just so important because that literally is all the parts, that come together.
And it doesn't have to be relations. The ancestors of our land, the ancestors that have been here just before us anywhere.
Ancestors in the craft.
Our ancestors in the craft, our Gerald Gardners and our Doreen Valiente. They are our ancestors that have passed on and are still guiding us in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna say like DJ Conway, I think recently passed too, right? Not too long ago. And so like, a lot of their stuff was very formative for me, because when I was coming out, that's when like Moon Magic and stuff like that was like kind of forming some of my experience as a witch. So it was interesting.
Ariel, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so for me, ancestor work, it allows you to get in touch with karmic trauma that you may not even be aware exists. So learning about your ancestry is really important. And it's not just a craft thing, because, as some of you may remember, I grew up LDS. We are very much into our genealogy. And we trace our family lines all the way back to before we came to America. But there's a value in knowing those things, because the lessons that your ancestors went through help give you strength. They gave you weaknesses, but they also gave you strengths. And so doing that ancestor work is really important to being a better self, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. And we love your humble opinion, Ariel. How about Marcus? Your hand is up.
Yeah, you brought up just a little bit ago, one of the things I was going to mention about our ancestors not necessarily being our genetic ancestors. They could be ancestors of, a practice, a craft, like, Uncle Bucky and Gerald Gardner, people like that. And in my lineage, my ancestors, they're not related to me, of course, but when you honor them and work with them, because you can still work with them, it's as though you're standing on the shoulders of giants, and they're working through you, teaching you. It helps expand your own awareness and abilities.
Absolutely. I love standing like that, standing on the shoulder of giants, because it's a way that we also live forever, that we are immortalized with passing on this information. And I love to have these little visions of what it'll be like when I'm long gone, and let's say my children are old enough to be grandparents themselves. Let's say they have some grandchildren. And I would love to be a fly on the wall. And maybe I will be, because I have this vision of them telling, hi, Nim, of them telling their grandchildren about our mother passed this on and had these stories and did these things and blah, blah, blah. And having it be very like I'm there. Bringing me to be there with them. And that's why I would say I will live forever in my children. And if they have children or whatnot, the future children and that. And so to me, that's ancestors too. It's a lineage that keeps you immortal and not fear death.
It's tradition building.
It's, yeah.
Where, each family has their traditions they do during the holidays or at certain events. And that this dish is going to be made, or this letter is going to be read, or this picture is going to be brought out.
Yeah.
But it means something to the family each and every time. And maybe as kids, we don't appreciate, but as we get older, we understand more and more.
Yeah.
How valuable those things are. So
true. I know when I was a kid, my mom and my dad would, well, your grandma did this and your great grandma, or, and I was just a kid. I'm like, yeah, whatever, just give me the chocolate or whatever, As I've gotten older, I now appreciate it more. That, oh, this is a tradition and I can continue this tradition with my children, or even add a little flair to it. Yep. Add my own little, yeah.
It's like Lola doesn't cook. I do the cooking in our house. And her mom has a bunch of recipes and she's passed them on to me. And we've taken those recipes and we've made a little bit of modifications here and there to make it more ours. But we've also left some of the other ones as, nope, we're not going to mess with this. This is perfect.
Yeah.
And when we make this, it helps us remember, she's still with us, but it makes us think we're always going to have these to remember her in the future.
Yeah. So, Nim, we were just talking about why honoring the ancestors is so important in our craft and in what we do. Do you have something to say to that before I go on to the next?
Yeah, sure. So, it's interesting that we're talking about ancestors. Somebody on TikTok actually explained how the ancestors are our future. We kind of tend to think about them being behind us, but they're our future. They have reincarnated a bunch of times. They have, ascended. They're like farther along the path than we are at this point. And so, if thinking about them as they're our future, it sort of is encouraging to work with them even more.
Yeah.
Because they are they're where we're going.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think when you popped in, I like to think of when I will be an ancestor.
Yeah.
To the people that come after me. That's thinking of the future. I am a future ancestor. We are ancestors. So it's a time is not.
Well, yeah, I was going to say we are already ancestors.
Yes.
You look at, so I definitely agree with you. I thought that was really enlightening.
It's like a time machine, but it's kind of cool. Some really good notes here. I like this one. Healing the lineage. What do you think that means when it comes to ancestors? You guys can raise your hands.
We need Roman to answer that question.
I know Roman if he was here. Yeah. So Celine, I saw you go. If I call you out of order, I'm sorry. I'm on my phone. But Celine, I think, was first. What does that mean to you with ancestors? Healing the lineage.
I like that because okay, so coming from a Catholic background, I have a very strong relationship with the guilt aspect. So it's taken a long time as a witch and as a pagan to like divorce myself from that a little bit. That's still a difficult thing to do. But with healing the lineage, I feel like it's less that whole the sins of the father thing, like, oh, you should suffer because your great grandfather did something awful or something like that.
Yeah.
It's more, to me, it's yeah, it's like, and I forgot who said it. If I think it was Maya, who said like the karmic, your historic, your universal karma, like your karmic past and everything kind of ties in with your ancestors. So you can, like, if you have ancestors who are really, like, for instance, like I'm married to a woman, so if I have ancestors who are my aunts and uncles and people even who are still alive who are extremely bigoted and who would, you know, think that I shouldn't be married to my wife and stuff like that, by my example now and by being kind of a positive person in their lives, I can kind of help change that story for them. And so a lot of those people are still alive. Like I don't, this is my example is just with like living people, but like the ancestry now that like some of like my aunt, I have an aunt who was very homophobic and has a grandchild who is trans, and that's been a horrible thing for the whole part of the family over there. And we're just like, and finally she came out and said, like, I'm not really mad at my grandchild for being trans. I'm mad because they're an asshole. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. Because I also have, like, I get that. That's fine. Like gender does not have a, or asshole does not have a gender. So that's fine. You know? But, you know, it's so like, but she's kind of gotten to the point where she's now at the point where she, you know, it's not because they're trans. She's actually kind of separating herself from that concept. And she also like was extremely anti-lesbian and gay, and now she gets us a Christmas present every year because like my mom has kind of stood up to her a little bit, and now they're getting close. And so like now she's kind of becoming this person that her ancestral path now, like to her kids, is going to be a little less condescending and a more tolerant and more accepting, and so, you know, hopefully that will continue to travel down. But like we're kind of healing that awful lineage of a lot of my family being like
close-minded.
Close-minded, bigoted, you know. And so like there's a reason that I cut off like a lot of my family, and even before I was like a lesbian witch, like I was just like a young person with nobody in my life, but I was like, y'all are kind of awful. What's going on? And so now as you know, I'm trying to like heal that a bit by letting them see, you know, I'm happy. I'm in a good relationship. I have my own house. We're doing well. I mean, we're struggling, but we're doing well. We're not murdering people. You know, like we're good people. So like, see how this can work out. So that's kind of, for me, it's healing the lineage. Like, and again, like it's you know, the future is. I'm looking at the future here. So the people who are alive right now, and maybe that can also be the people who have gone in the past. You can heal that with them too, and say, you know, so and so was a bigot and they're dead, but I'm going to continue to have this conversation with them, and work on, you know, you can still help people who are in the process and in the cycling, and when they come back in the future, maybe they'll be like, you know what, it's okay to be gay. Like, all right, there we go, we're making progress. So
I love that. Andrea, thank you, Celine. Andrea, you had your hand up.
I do. So I was kind of thinking, one, along with where Celine was talking about things changing, and two, about sometimes relationship lines get damaged. And okay, my family on my mom's side is on my mom's dad's side is a shit. Everybody is like at odds with each other, and from hurts that were done so many years ago, and yada yada. And I think that there's the chance for that to be healed. So it's like, if you were to look at it like lines in a hand, or like lines, okay, so there's a divot, it curves out of the way for a while, but then the line comes back together. And so I think sometimes that can be healed in ancestral healing as well.
Absolutely.
Maya, well, I was going to say that make you think about the damage PTSD that's done to us when things are done to us. Or whether we did them ourselves, but I'm thinking like sexual assault. How that can play down and play into the next generation, play into the next generation. Well, ancestral healing can completely heal that so that there's no more tumble down. Like in a non-sexual assault way, my brother joined a gang in high school, legit gang. Cops were parked in front of our house here in Spokane.
Oh, geez.
Freaking gang fights in front of the house. My dad got threatened to get shot. It was lots of fun, let me tell you. But he dropped out of high school. And he ended up getting a woman pregnant when he was really young, and they ended up having kids the same, actually even more kind of low economic situation. And she didn't care about their education, so they're way behind on their education. And he thought his kids weren't going to graduate high school as well.
Yeah.
And he and I had a moment 2 years ago on the phone where we just sat and cried because 2 of his kids right off the bat were graduating high school that day. And we just cried our eyes out because of the fact that that lineage marker was broken. That wasn't going to be another repeat from another generation.
Nice.
That makes sense. I was going to say, before I call on Maya, I was going to say, for me, healing the lineage is also about the damage that's been done. And it's the same when you stop the cycle of abuse or whatever. But, there are some people that believe, and I don't, I'm just saying, because not everyone believes it. But it has been brought to my attention by many people I know, and that we are born with ancestral trauma and that baggage that we bring from even our parents. As babies, what we go through in the womb with anything that our mothers are going through. And also just the cosmic soul that we are connected to, that sometimes we carry that with us. And I know Ramon, a friend of ours, talks about that generational curses, cutting those curses, healing that. And so I believe this is something too that our ancestors can help teach us.
Well, it's bringing forth things from a previous incarnation into this current incarnation.
Yeah.
The shit we're always having to work on each time we're brought back, and there's things that can carry through with us.
But not even that too, but what I'm even talking about, just our genealogy, ancestors that go way, way back, and it passes and passes and passes and passes and passes, and it seems we're the bottom of that. And when we're born, we take that weight of the world, the weight of those damages and we bring it, and then we have to work through it and heal some of it and work with it. And so even just in this lifetime, what we carry from those that were our ancestors, genealogy wise. So Maya, you have your hand up.
That's you. Okay, so ADHD brain has somewhat forgotten the question. What was the question, honey?
Healing the lineage. What do you think that means in related to our ancestors?
I feel to heal our lineage, we must heal ourselves, not physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, as best as we can. Spiritually.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hence why I myself decided to take a Buddhist path, because I myself felt that it was the path that it was going to lead me to the most healing processes that I needed.
Yeah.
Healing ourselves is the same as healing our ancestors. If our ancestors are us and they're our future, then by healing ourselves, we are healing them, even if it is their past traumas that are carried over onto us, or their past fears, or their past anything negative. By healing ourselves, we heal that for them.
Yeah. Mind blown. By healing ourselves, we are healing our ancestors. Again, it's that time kind of has no relevance. It's like we're here now, we were here back then, we're here in the future, and it's all simultaneously happening. that makes me just go every time I think of that on a whole spectrum of, the universe. Yes, Nim.
Yeah, that's it's a really interesting concept. I can definitely resonate with that. I had a tarot client yesterday who had shared that her mom had passed away, but they had left a lot of hurt between them, and they weren't able to heal that while she was still alive. And what the cards were communicating was there was no better time to start doing that healing and to start talking to her mom and tell her everything that she needed to tell her, to listen to what mom was trying to share, and she goes, well, my mom can't hurt me anymore, so it's safe to talk to her now, isn't it? And I go, exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes me think of the ancestor things to extrapolate it further. So
yeah, that's beautiful.
It's never too late for healing.
No, absolutely. And I love, it's never too late for healing. I fucking love that, because we have so many people in this world that have such terrible relationships with family and family that has hurt them, or people from their past that have hurt them. And it's not, and I'm not downplaying anyone's hurt, but I have heard that as an excuse before, that, well, they'll never listen to me and they'll never, and it's like, sometimes you don't need to have them listen. You just need to like speak it and get it off your chest. And whether they are receptive or not, it's really more for yourself than it is for that other person. So yeah, that is a huge, I love that. It's never too late to heal, even after they've passed. Might be easier to talk to them, So yeah, I think Ariel had. Oh, I see. Okay, thank you, honey. You're keeping an eye on that for me. Stephen, please go. Your hand was up. And then Amber. Yep, I got it. I think you're on mute, Stephen. It's okay.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
It's all right.
Healing the lineage. I had lots of problems with healing my relationship with my mother, and I still do, but I realized from this conversation that healing myself makes a priority, and that's what I'm working on now. So I wanted to add that to the conversation.
I think it's great that you're working on that. Again, never too late. We got to start with ourselves. That's where it starts. It starts right in here. Ariel, your hand is up.
Yeah, so when you were talking about having those conversations with people, it reminded me of something that happened while I was down home for Thanksgiving. So my father was the person who first line of methamphetamines. Randomly talking, I don't remember what we were talking about, but I mentioned it, and he was like, I did? He didn't even remember. And then I felt bad for bringing it up, and I'm like, oh my God, I just totally scarred you all over again. And I'm not trying to do that, but I felt like it was important that he needed to know that. And it was kind of weird. It was not what I was expecting. I know it's not really ancestral, but big wound. And it was very weird to get that response.
It's lineage though, and it's healing, and it's speaking your truth and saying it. So, and that happens sometimes. I know my brother, who's only 9 years older than me, we have a lot of shit from our past, and he was very verbally and emotionally and physically abusive to me, and a lot of it he's like blocked out. He can't remember it. And when my mom brings it up to him, or my sister brings it up, or I bring it up, he doesn't deny it. He knows he knows he did something, but and at least he knows that, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't remember, but yeah, that's an asshole behavior, and I'm an asshole. Okay, I can put 2 and 2 together. Yeah.
Right. It's just weird. I didn't expect that. I figured he would remember because it was so fundamental to me,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm like, oh, weird.
Yeah. Andrea, thank you, Ariel. And you're on mute. Yeah, there you go. Mm. You're on mute again, hon.
Doggone
There-
it. Sorry about that. Okay,
It's
I was
okay.
gonna say I'm a double major with music and psych, and so that blocking out with your mind when it's done for you and you can't block it, you're
Uh-oh. I
We're
think
losing the audio.
we lost you. She froze. All right. There you
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I was gonna say suppression is when you choose to block things out, and repression is when your mind does it for you because your
Yeah.
mind just says this is too much shit, you can't handle this. But on top of that, I was gonna say just how beautiful is it that we live in a
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
okay, so sorry, I'm in a
That's okay.
position.
We
Just how
live in a-
beautiful is it that we live in a world that cares about healing now?
Yeah.
Like think about our parents. You didn't heal. You just buried it. You buried it and you tapped it
Yeah.
out, and that was that. It didn't happen. No one talked about it. And now we live in a world that's like, oh hey, you know what? Let's heal from this. Let's work through this. Let's make things better.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
now have the
So it's just
ability
kind
to
of
move forward.
about how beautiful it is, like us healing the lineage. You know, this 50 years ago wouldn't have happened.
Oh, God, no. I come from a family where, so like my parents are in their 80s and my brother and sister, my sister is 60 and my brother's 58. And then I'm 49. I was a pleasant surprise. And so they're all from a generation where therapy schmerapy. Like you don't
You don't talk about your shit.
you don't talk about your shit. Like
Yep.
their therapy was like just drinking and talking to their friends or the bartender, and that's therapy. But yeah, no one in our family needs. Yeah, psychobabble. It's just psychobabble. It's yeah. So
Yeah, and then look at the world now. Look how
Yeah.
beautiful the world is now that we actually don't just want to heal our crap, but we're like, hey, you know what? We can't just heal our crap. We can heal our ancestors' crap too.
yeah.
It was a little.
You froze, huh? There you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just an observation, one of those little silver lining things.
Mhm.
Welcome, Raven. We're talking about ancestors and healing the lineage, which has been a very hot topic. We'll be, what do you think we should talk about here, real quick? We've got
These two.
remember your mistakes, document your successes. So here's some notes. Remember your mistakes and document your successes. How do you think that's related to our ancestors?
No one's perfect, including our ancestors. There's things that they may need healing on, and we can help them with their mistakes and move forward. However, there's Forrest.
Hi, Forrest.
And then also when we have fixed things, be proud of it and document it because it's worth journaling. It's worth recording.
Yeah.
Because, a success is a success and those need to be celebrated.
Yeah. Nimer has learn your history and your ancestors' histories, share the stories, remember the stories. Celine, you had your hand up?
Yeah, basically the same kind of thing, like what you guys were saying. But like really important, culturally wise, like as a generation, you have to remember the past so that you can learn from it. So just as a culture, like even just not just your own lineage, but the problems and the things that your society has done. So just in a kind of a grander scale. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Hi, Forrest. Forrest Daniel is one of my old coven brothers from a previous coven, and Forrest and I, oh my gosh, his little boy Forrest. I think Forrest has a crush on me, and I might have a little crush on Forrest. Hi, sweetie.
Hey, hi, Lola.
Hi, Lola. Hi.
It's on her
Oh, he loves me so much. I'm Auntie Lola. I'm like, I love him. I love him.
Thumbs up from Forrest.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Not thumbs down. Thumbs up. Yeah. Thumbs up, Forrest. Yeah, I like to remember the mistakes, document successes. It kind of reminds me of our Book of Shadows or our grimoires that we have passed down to us, and kind of documenting what worked and documenting what didn't work. And, we do a lot of type of alchemy work. It's scientific. Scientists have to write down formulas and what worked and those formulas that didn't, because they don't want the next group to explode. So I always think of it that way, where we have to document or remember those mistakes and say, hey, this has been something that's got, when I find out my lineage comes from a lot of people who love to have a good time and may have got a little too involved in having such a good time that things happened and didn't go well. Well, that makes sense. I come from a lineage of people that love to party and have a good time. And there have been times where that has not turned out very well. I have come very close myself to having some, going to the underworld a little too soon for me. So, I tell stories. To my kids, I tell stories, hey, your mom loves to have a good time. And here's the mistakes I made. Right. And here's the great things that I learned from and the fun. And, because I don't want my kids to do that. I don't want their kids to do that. So, yeah, we come from a long line of partiers. And I hear stories about great grandparents and uncles and that, oh my God, I'm like, oh, that's where it comes from. Like just having a good time,
My biological father was known to have a lot of good time, and it's what allowed prevented my mom from being with him and being raised without him in my life.
Yeah,
because he was having so much good time, not enough dad time.
Yep.
And I know that I have my fun in the past and my poor decision making that was contributed, but at the same time, I don't blame him for my actions.
No.
I own my own shit. I made those choices.
Yeah.
I may have been predisposed to said behaviors, but I still actively chose to do the things I did.
Mm-hmm.
I was aware that, what, probably not the smartest thing, but it's really fucking fun.
Yeah. But we'll think of the consequences tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Lola's problem.
Yes.
Tomorrow, Silence's problem.
Yeah. It won't affect me till I'm in my 40s and 50s. Now
that we're in our 40s and 50s,
you're like, well, shit, here it is.
Shit. Yeah, I used to say that in my 20s. This will catch up with me when I'm in my late 40s, almost 50. And now I'm 49 and I'm like, oh, Jesus. Oh, it did. So, yeah, but we look at the time, we're like, these are bad decisions. But out of those bad decisions, sometimes come greatness and come some amazing learning experiences. So
all those bad decisions brought me to her. Take that for what you...
Well, same here. The line of bad decisions brought me to him. We were good decisions for each other. So, all right. This has been, oh my God, I could talk about this all night. This is such a great conversation, but we do have to start to wrap this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to visit with Madame Zola. Woo.
For those of you who don't know Madame Zola, it's this creative character we have.
I don't know where
she's our fortune teller.
She's our fortune teller.
But she lets you read yourself.
Yes. So, yes, she's teaching. So let's say you're like, I need a 1-card draw, and I'm going to go to Madame Zola's tent because I know she'll do a 1-card draw, and I'm going to get this card. I need it, and it needs to be who I am, what I'm doing right now today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now at this moment. And she's like, oh, this is the card. It's the ancestors card. So I'll call on you in order. So Stephen, the order that I see you in. Celine, is your hand up for a reason, or did you just forget to put it down?
Is it upside down?
Is it still up? Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say something on back in the, but I'm good.
Well, first of all, was that Nim that pointed that out?
Only because
I
I
was
love
like,
you.
oh crap, it's inverted.
I mean, I was into it, but you know.
First card. You all got reversed ancestors. That means you need to get in touch with the babies in your family. No. All right. So, Stephen, you get the ancestor card today. What do you think that means for you right now at this moment?
The ancestor card reminds me of the past of my partner.
So your partner's with you.
No, my partner is Sheila Ann Lee. She passed away 4 years ago.
But I mean, your partner is still with you, even not physically, but spirit is with you.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Celine, if you got this card today, what do you think that would mean for you right now?
That's a tough one. I would say, well, actually, right now today, it's Hannah's grandmother's birthday, and so today I'm gonna go start a bread starter, a yeast starter, because I broke the last one. I dropped it and it died all over the floor, and so I told her today to celebrate her birthday in honor of her. I was going to start a starter, so that's continuing her like great grandma's bread start tradition. So it's touching way back into our ancestry. So that is exactly what that means today.
This is fitting. This is fitting for you today. I love that.
Yep.
B, did you want to take a shot at this? If you got this card today, what would this mean for you right now?
You're asking me, right? You said there's multiple Bs?
You're just in our lives, but right here in the chat, you're the only B. You're unique.
I'm the unique B. Okay. So if I got the ancestor card today, it would remind me, or it would say to me and speak to me that I'm kind of going down this journey of learning astrology. And in my own chart, I can see my ancestors, and I've been doing a bit of looking at family charts and seeing where the connections have been passed down to each other.
Oh, cool.
It's really quite wild, and it can be a bit raw, but it's bringing me back to this place where I can kind of step out of the emotional aspect of my family, because as many of us were saying that we do have difficulties with our family, so I can relate to that. And so even with those difficulties I have in my family, looking at the synchronicity and kind of coming to terms with that is helping me personally connect with the ancestors. So I do appreciate the ancestor card showing itself to me tonight.
And this is your first visit with us on Threads of Wisdom, so I think it's very serendipitous.
Yay, thank you.
Love that. Thank you.
And thank you for having me here.
Oh, absolutely. We're so glad that you're here. Andrea, what would you get from this if you got this card right now? What would this mean to you? You're on mute, hon, if you're talking. I think we might have lost Andrea.
She may have stepped away. So
yeah, we'll move on to Ariel. If you got this card today, what would that mean?
Remember the lessons of the past and look for the strength and the wisdom.
I love that. Thank you. Marcus, our wise Marcus, what would you get from this if you got this card today? Marcus might have stepped away, or you're on mute. Marcus,
there we go.
There you go.
It would be a reminder to look toward the past as you move toward the future.
I like that.
What I really want to know is what kind of wine are you guys drinking?
What is this today?
Tonight we are drinking a Nebbiolo from the Piedmont region.
Which is good wine. That's all I hear is wah, 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 good wine. Wah, wah, wah. Thank you, Marcus. Nimer, if you got this today, what would that mean?
I think it's a reminder that I'm exactly where I need to be and that my ancestors have done a ton of groundwork for myself, and that the groundwork I'm putting in for myself and my future generations is not going to waste.
No, I like that. I love that confidence, and I'm right where I need to be. I love that. Daniel, do you want to take a stab at this? If you got this card today, what would that mean?
I think it would kind of remind me to beware of mistakes my ancestors made in the past,
Yeah.
and prevent. By looking to the past, you can hopefully guide yourself to prevent yourself from making the same mistakes they made in the future.
Yeah. Learn from the past. Yeah. How about you, Silenus, if you got this card?
That I need to pay attention more to my ancestry and not turn my back on it so much. I am not real close. Well, I was when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I have drifted apart from my grandparents and others, and that I need to appreciate what time I have left with them before they become distant ancestors.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same. Me and Silenus have had a lot of talks about this. We don't have a very active involvement with grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles. It's always been a very dysfunctional. It's always just been our immediate family that we have a relationship with.
We have a lot of black sheep status.
We have black sheep status, and we have a lot of just dysfunction in the past. Not our past, but past with cousins. And I know people that hang out with their cousins and their grandparents and their own, and it's like we've never really been close to that. So I always felt that I didn't have a connection to ancestors because I don't have anyone telling me a lot of the stories. I mean, my mom will tell me stories about my grandma, which I'm pretty sure that's where I get my witchiness from. But even in that, I didn't know her that long. I think Celine had brought up my grandparents all died when I was very young. I never had a relationship with grandparents, which that's why to me it's very important that my children have a relationship with our parents, because I think grandparents are fucking amazing and you can learn a lot from them. So I kind of cut myself off of, well, I can't honor ancestors because I know nothing about it. But until I talked to Don Lewis, because his tradition, the Corellian tradition, they're really big on ancestors. And I talked to him about this, and he said, kind of gave me the thing, you just call them in, and it doesn't even have to be related ancestors. It could be, like I said, ancestors of the land, ancestors of your craft, ancestors, so you don't have to call a specific one in, but just open that doorway to them. And so this reminds me, and I'm getting goosebumps, that means that it's really speaking to me. I just need to open my heart and my craft to the ancestors and see what comes through and see what I can learn from them. So all right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the image in the chat so you can go ahead and download it and add it to your collection. Again, if you are unable to download the image, put your email address in the chat and I will email it to you. Excuse me. Hold on. Let's see if this works. I think we can. All right, can you see the image in the chat? Yeah?
Yeah, yes from Nim. Anyone else?
Yes, I can see it.
Awesome.
All right. If you cannot upload it, because sometimes or download it. So thank you, honey. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Again, email address, and I will get that emailed out to you this evening. And then I'm going to go ahead and do our closing because we are at 7:35, so it's been an hour, and we are so glad you all made it.
Thank you all. We appreciate it.
So if we have helped facilitate a spiritual experience for you today, then please consider donating to the Children of the Crossroads, ATC, to help fund events like this. Your gifts of any amount are greatly appreciated, and donations may be tax deductible because Children of the Crossroads, ATC, is a 501c3 nonprofit. And there are 2 links in the chat that you can donate. It's not required. It's just appreciated if you could.
it helps with some of the tech costs, and we're getting a new computer, so got to replenish those funds that were used for that.
Because believe it or not, my computer, I call it mine because I'm the one that works with it the most, is actually used for everything pagan that I do.
It's mostly church work that we use it for. We just didn't.
There is no, once in a while I
Well,
have.
and this is a weekly discussion that you guys steward throughout the year, so it's definitely worthwhile to support.
It does help us a lot. So
Amongst the many other ministries you do.
Thank you, Nim, for being our cheerleader.
I see your service. It is sacred and loved.
Thank you. So next week we're going to be talking about divination. Hi, sweetie. Bye. Did you say bye?
Yeah,
Hi.
he. I told him that we were getting ready to get off, and he's like, "I want to say bye."
Oh,
Bye, Forrest. Good night.
bye, my favorite little guy. See you later. So we'll be talking next week about divination, which, yay, hello. And the artwork, I'm not going to show you now, but it's beautiful, actually. I love it.
Well, we may even have to have a divination night after that, too.
We might have a divination night afterwards just to celebrate divination. That would be really fun. So show up, and then we could all do tarot readings on each other, or runes, or whatever your divination you like. I think that would be really fun.
I think we're onto something here.
I think we're onto something. So, did everyone put their email address in that couldn't download the picture? Download the picture. I know, Marcus, you sometimes have difficulties. Were you able to get it?
No, I was just putting it in there. It's I think it's a browser I'm using. It copies it, but it won't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's
We know with you that we're probably going to have to send it to you, so we've accepted that.
I kind of assume I'll email it to you. I'm going to go ahead and
Right.
stop the recording. So everyone say bye recording.
Bye, recording.
Goodbye,
Bye,
recording.
Where do I stop it at? What's
The same place you started it.
Oh, here, stop recording.